They've broken everything. They've intentionally broken everything as well. Who's they? The 1%. And who's the 1%? Corporations. Like now, look at BlackRock. So, karma floods the country. He's had about 10 meetings with BlackRock. He floods the country, and BlackRock are about to invest £1.4 billion in the private housing market in the UK. BlackRock are going to come in, and all these migrants are in hotels where BlackRock owns part of where they're all profiting off these migrants. So it's a business. It's a massive business, and it fuels the fake money bubble as well. So as they're flooding the country, they're about to buy £1.4 billion worth of houses, and they're going to make them into HMOs. Can I ask you? The interviewer interrupts, because this stuff sounds a bit nuts to me. Well, the man continues, they don't want people like you living in a beautiful home. They want you living in a bedroom. That's the plan. The interviewer shakes his head. This is where you start losing me, and I'm not saying maybe you're right, maybe you're not, but it sounds a bit nuts. Something that big would sound crazy, sure, but do you ever worry you're a bit all over the place with some of this? No, he replies. Well, I am. I go off on different tangents, but it's a fact now. BlackRock are about to spend £1.4 billion in British housing. How do you know this, by the way? The interviewer presses. I've looked it all up, he answers. I just sit diving into rabbit holes you wish you don't go down. Yeah, but you know the internet can take you down some very dark places that aren't true. Yeah, he says, but it is true about BlackRock's investment in the British housing market. They're taking migrants out of hotels. Labour said, we're going to get them all out of hotels. Where are they putting them? Where are they putting them? Well, one in, one out, right? Yeah, he says, getting rid of one from France. But where are they putting them? They're going to put them in HMOs next door. They're going to buy houses like this, turn them into 4 or 5 bedrooms, and that's what they're doing. Then you're going to have 4 or 5 men living there from Afghanistan. By any measure, Tommy Robinson's latest claim is explosive. In a recent interview, the controversial activist alleged that BlackRock, one of the world's largest investment firms, is preparing to pour £1.4 billion into the UK's private housing market. A move he insists is directly linked to government plans to rehouse migrants currently staying in hotels. Robinson, whose real name is Stephen Yaxley Lennon, framed the alleged investment as part of a broader conspiracy by what he called the 1%, powerful corporations profiting from mass immigration. Then BlackRock come in and buy £1.4 billion worth of homes, he said. The theory follows a familiar pattern in Robinson's rhetoric, linking immigration policy to corporate profit and elite collusion. He argued that companies like BlackRock and the latter of which runs government contracts for asylum accommodation, are profiting off the migrant crisis, suggesting that mass migration is being deliberately engineered to fuel a housing and investment bubble. To be clear, BlackRock has indeed shown interest in the UK property sector, as have many global investment funds. Institutional investors have poured billions into build-to-rent housing projects in Britain over the past decade, capitalizing on a shortage of affordable homes and high demand for rentals. However, there is no verified evidence of a £1.4 billion deal explicitly tied to migrant housing, nor is there proof that BlackRock or any private firm is directly coordinating with the UK government to profit from asylum accommodation contracts. The connection between private equity, housing, and government migration policy remains speculative at best. The controversy comes as the UK faces mounting tension over asylum policy and the government's promise to move thousands of migrants out of hotels. With local councils under strain and social housing stock depleted, any mention of corporate involvement in housing sparks fierce public reaction, particularly when tied to immigration. Robinson's claim may not withstand scrutiny, but it reflects a deeper crisis of trust. Many Britons no longer believe the government or the media to be honest brokers of truth. In that vacuum, figures like Robinson thrive, blending genuine grievances with conspiratorial flair to frame themselves as truth-tellers in a corrupt system. Anyway, the host cuts in, are you on sick? Because if you are, next time you go to the doctors, you might find yourself face-to-face with a job coach. This is the latest plan to try and get people back into work by 2030. Kelvin speaks up. I think this is right up there with digital ID cards, to be honest. Look, one of the issues we have in our country right now is that so many people are sick. There's so much health-related unemployment. The only reason we don't have a massive unemployment rate, something like 6.8% or 8%, is because there are so many people claiming health-related benefits. You can almost earn as much money on health-related benefits as you can on minimum wage now, around £1,340 or whatever it is. So honestly, the idea of a state employee whose job is to try and persuade people who are sick to help them in some way to get into work sounds like a good idea. But I guarantee you, those people will be going off sick. They won't be replaced. I regret to say, because I'd like to see all this change, but I can't see it working. The only thing that will work, I'm afraid, is tough love. And I'm not the person to be there because I'd be not believing anybody who said they were suffering from depression or anxiety. Don't you believe that depression and anxiety exist? The host asks. I do, Kelvin says. But I don't believe the answer is sitting at home all day watching Escape to the Country. Aaron responds, I'm probably a bit of a softer touch than Kelvin, but I have to agree, having a schedule, having work, getting up, having a purpose, having money to spend, these are all really positive things. It's pretty miserable if you've got no money. This could work. Do a pilot and see if it makes any sense. But people go to the GP to get better. You want them to get better so they can go to work and contribute. I'm wary, though, of saying have this other person whose job it is to push people into work. We already have the job center for that. It's just fluff, state creating new jobs, new functions, with low return on investment. I'm on the left. I think the state can do good things, but only if it's careful about where it acts. This sounds like one of those well-meaning but pointless policies. I do believe depression and anxiety exist, Kelvin adds, but I think we've all got them. Everyone does, whether you're the Prime Minister or managing Manchester United. There are moments when you feel really down or anxious. But the idea isn't to get signed off for 18 months. That only makes it worse. We've medicalized emotions, haven't we? To be human is to not be okay all of the time. If you think you'll skip through life like the sound of music, listening to birds singing every day, you're in for a shock. He continues, we have millions now, millions, on PIP and other health-related benefits. It's such a serious issue that even the Labour Party tried to do something about it, but were voted down by their own parliamentary members.